Hey everyone, Amanda Radke here in beautiful Whitehouse, Texas. I'm here with Chris Earl of CK6 Consulting and Bid on Beef. And Chris, we have an exciting day today right here in Texas.
Full
What's
day,
going on?
full day. We're going to sell almost 90 bulls a day, purebred Angus bulls, and then that's at 1 o'clock Central Time, and then at 6 o'clock we've got our beef auction. This is where it all started for us.
This
So,
is where it
yeah,
all
it's
started.
been exciting. The Duvals are great partners and owners for us. Great products. And again, we've got a huge. I don't know what we got, man. I think we got 200 RSVPs for the meat sale and tremendous interest on the bulls. So we're gonna have a full day in rural America.
Full day in rural America. And, it's funny, Chris, a year ago at this time, we were having the Capital Angus sale. Donald Trump had just won the election, and there was excitement in the seats.
There is.
Now, today, there's excitement in the seats once again.
Yeah.
The President of the United States made quite a statement yesterday on social media. Before we get into the offering, can you just talk a little bit about your thoughts on the President of the United States talking about a Packer monopoly?
So I've been waiting for it for 35 years, fed cattle most of my life, and just always felt like my leverage wasn't at that transaction point
Mm-hmm.
when you deal with the Packers. And then as the years go by and the years go by, you can just see the slippage of your leverage when you were selling fat cattle to where there was no contending bidder anymore. And as you're a seller of product and you only have one buyer, and you try and manage getting the best price you can, but not teeing them off, making sure they're there because there's not a good plan B. That's just not a good position for our way of life. So his statement yesterday, what's exciting for me about it, why I didn't sleep very very well because I was just jacked up. It impacts today.
Mm-hmm.
It impacts the Duvals. It impacts the people that are buying today. And look, at the end of the day, one of the government's roles is to protect the free market,
Mm-hmm.
and they haven't. And for the first time in my lifetime, the most powerful man in the world sat down, obviously, with good people that do what we do and got explained our way of life.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like from his statements, he didn't like what he heard. I don't know where it goes. I know this. It's probably going to get rocky, but it's the only solution going forward is we need to protect the longevity of our product being bid on.
Mm-hmm.
And however that looks, whatever it does, I'm just excited we got the most powerful man in the world that he's on the side of the producers.
We got a
So,
listening ear.
yeah,
Yeah, it's funny. A couple weeks ago, he's on Air Force One. He's talking about the price of beef. We saw the market tumble, and in cattle country, the sky is falling.
yep,
And we did. Real people lost real money
they
as a
did.
result of kind of some market uncertainty and chaos because of those statements.
Yeah,
However, then it turned into a USDA plan that for the first time in some time, we're not talking about climate smart initiatives and Green New Deal taxpayer boondoggles. We're talking about grazing and processing and protein on the plate with dietary guidelines. And so it's a conversation opener. But never in a million years did I think that fast forward just a few weeks later, we'd be seeing Donald Trump. You look at making that purchase from Argentina, and he makes the statement, I made that purchase and box beef went up.
right.
Something is wrong here.
Sure.
And so, I guess, do you think he just wasn't aware? I mean, this monopoly, you and I have talked about it a million times. I can't think of how many times you've said to me, what's the definition of a monopoly? Is
Yeah.
the threshold 85% or not? That's a
Yeah.
monopoly. And the president saw it by exposing it.
Yeah. So I think we're still combating. We're still combating what is a reality in our way of life.
Mm-hmm.
And our way of life is people that have generationally moved away from the land,
Mm-hmm.
that are now living in urban America, frankly, have no idea what it takes to deliver the best protein in the world to their table.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the reality of our life. It's not a good or a bad, it's a reality. And I like to deal in realities.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we have to do is, as a producer, and not unlike my last week here, frankly, I have not done the good a job as I can over the last 35 years. I need to affect the result. You can't be a whiner, you can't be a complainer. You have to affect the result. And that is you have to communicate to people and let them trust let everyday people trust their communication of the challenges of their way of life.
Mm-hmm.
Not just take what they're going to be given. We're the only way of life, it seems like, that doesn't fight for themselves. We need to fight for ourselves. And that is communication to the powers that be. And that is being your own advocate, which we have talked many times. And that's what happened here.
It's absolutely what happened.
What happened here is that all of the advocacy that we've had over the years did not affect the result that everyday people needed until normal ranching people, you know, kicked the dust off their pants, put their hats on, and went to the people and said, hey, this is what's happening. And we need to do more of that. I think we will, because we saw a great result here. And as this thing goes, we have to continue to keep affecting the process. And look, I'm not talking about a government handout. I'm not talking about a sub. I don't want the government in my life.
Right.
That's the big thing, right? We have to affect a free market that allows people to get in no matter what size, no matter what level, and have a level playing field. Right now, we don't have one. We don't have one.
And to that point, like you said, there's independent producers that on their own time and own dime have picked up the phone, they've used the contacts they have, they've gone to DC, and they've gotten face to face and told the story of the challenge of the American cattle rancher, the fact that hundreds of thousands have gone out of business in the last 25 years due to bad policy and bad regulations, and favoring these big packers who have that monopoly that don't give us a fair chance to have true price discovery in the market. And we have a listening ear. We have it with Trump. We have it with Secretary Rollins. But you know, shout out to some of these independent producers that have gotten off the bench. You know, like Jack Payne, AJ Richards. You got Jim Mundorf. I mean, there's more than we can possibly list. But it's interesting that for the first time, an administration is saying, I don't want to talk to the associations. I want to talk to you, the producer.
It's funny, if you look back over history, which I love history, usually change is affected by one person, not a group.
Right.
Not an association, but it's affected by one person, because that one person, when people see that, they become motivated to get out of their own shell, and it motivates them to go fight for themselves. Look, I've been out a lot in front of this, but I don't fight for Chris Earl. I fight for my wife. I fight for my sons. I fight for my grandkids, and then I fight for my clients. And as I get up driveways, I see the real world implications of corporate America creeping into our way of life. And all we got to do is look at other species. It ain't good. It ain't good. And we have to start affecting that. We can make a way on a family ranch that this lifestyle is viable. And that's what we're going to do.
Yep. So. And yeah, you are your best advocate. So when I look at, even in South Dakota, I counted up the number of representatives and senators that are actually involved in cattle ranching. It's less than a dozen of 100 plus. And yet these politicians are making decisions, making laws and policies that impact our way of life. Same in Washington, D.C. That statistic would be even lower of the cattle guys represented. And so, yes, nobody can tell the story better than you. And apathy has kind of gotten us here because we're just trying to survive. You're feeding the cattle, raising your kids, you're trying to pay the bills. And for the first time, we have the greatest market we've ever seen. In my lifetime, for sure, maybe yours too.
It is.
And we are in a position to leverage that. We have the fundamentals, we have a 75-year low in the cow herd, but we have a 40-year high in beef demand. And so this is an opportunity. Now, CK6 Consulting last year did $38 million in sales. You represent about 30 clients all across the country. You help producers identify the genetics in the Angus business that they can take and maximize that leverage. That's what we're here doing today.
We are.
And you're in a service business. One of the reasons I wanted to work with CK6 is because you always say it's 51% people, 49% genetics. Talk, before we get back to the capital sale, you've been busy in the last week alone serving your clients. What has been going on?
We've had great sales, you know, so Barnett, Angus in Georgia, man, I think we had over 200 people, buyers in the seats, another over 100 online. You know, I'm not sure, there might've been one or two Angus breeders there, but it was all commercial people. And it was a banger. I mean, it was one of the great sales I've ever been part of. And this is from, you know, an outfit isn't well known yet. It is now. And so it was exciting. And then we go up to Hinkey's, who, you know, we've been with, you know, as a company for a while. And I mean, you're talking about a husband and wife, hardworking, bunch of little kids running around, and those kids are getting older, as we see, you know, and they put 350, 400,000 on their gross from last year. That's exciting for me. I was talking with the Duvals last night. You know, there's happiness and joy. Joy is when you see other people have big days. They had a big day. That was great. And then we go to the American Angus Association Convention, packed house, you know, a lot of people there. You know, the votes didn't go our way. And, you know, and simply, you know, as we look at this, it's part of the fight. You know, it's part of what we do. And that is, for me as an individual and a member, I'm voting for independent thought.
Mm-hmm.
I'm voting for service-minded thought that doesn't do block voting, but that goes in, looks at every issue, communicates it to the members, and votes that way,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's opposite of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I respect that.
Yep.
I respect that, and I'm going to continue to fight. I have not done a good job to this point, really motivating people, because there's a lot of us out here that want to be part of this great association, want to influence things that add to diversity of thought, diversity of programs, and want to have a service organization, not a company that is going to lead us genetically.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that role is made for the member,
Mm-hmm.
for that person. And there's issues that we're going to stay on. We're going to keep fighting, and I'm going to try and keep motivating good people to perform within the process that's been laid out the American Angus Association, and frankly change the room.
That's right.
And that's what we have to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what any good political process does,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what we got to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we saw the line get drawn. We know what we got to do, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I've lost many times in my life, and I've
Well,
run in
you
the
only
minority.
lose if you don't just keep getting up and take another
Yeah,
punch, right?
well, I think the biggest thing, I think the biggest thing on getting beat or losing is, it's self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
And that self-reflection for me is, it's not changing what I believe. It's
Right.
not jumping on the winning team.
Yeah.
It's, did I give to perfect a winning thing that is within the process? And I got to do better. If I'm a results-oriented person, and I am, I need to motivate good people to stand up for what I believe the direction should be, and frankly, what I think most people believe the direction should be, and that's service.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you're not alone in that, but it requires a whole bunch of people to stand up, get organized, work together towards a shared goal here, which you were the lone man in the room in the delegate voting session the last day of the American Angus Convention. And I'm so grateful to that. I know a lot of people were. What was your message that day? You got cut off. You didn't get to finish your speech that day, but what was your call to action for the board of the American Angus Association of what you, a dues paying member, would like to see the direction of the organization?
So to be fair, they did say 3 minutes, and I went over 3
Yeah.
minutes. So I mean, cutting off the mic and that kind of thing, that's part of the rules. And
Sure.
I knew that going in. But I'm really big, like you have the battle. I'm big right now as I watch this business move forward, and it's becoming very technical. There's
Mhm.
a lot of science and technology, and so a couple of the things that I really focus on is one of the bullet points in there. They started with genetics first on their 5 bullet points for the future, and the member became the second bullet point.
Mhm.
I would like to see the member stay the primary bullet point. The first bullet point did mention in there dedicated data collectors. So a person that does this way of life, it's more than that to me.
Right.
It's more than submitting data. It is, I really want to affect change to where the marketplace still goes to what's between the breeder's ears,
Mhm.
and not just the paper. I'm all about data.
Mhm.
I'm all about validating the data.
Well, data is the tool for the independent producer, but it still takes a cattleman's mind to feed and grow those
No
animals
question.
up and have an eye for the phenotype. It all comes together.
Yeah.
We're not raising cattle on computers.
No, we're not. And then they're mapping the genome. And I think right now, to access the American Angus Association database, you basically have to turn over your ownership of your DNA when you send it in. That becomes the property of the American Angus Association. I don't think the members should be leveraged in order to use the system that they built to lose ownership blood that you send
Right.
in. I believe there's a partnership in there. I believe there's better middle ground that can serve to protect what you've created for the future.
Mhm.
Because as we saw in all their lineup, you were there. I was not there but the one day, but you can see, I mean, this thing is at light speed on what they think they can do, science, technology,
Mhm.
land grant universities. So I think one of the main roles of the board should be to protect the member on the ownership.
Mhm.
So,
And the final point you had, it was pretty simple. Hey, let's not do business with animal rights and climate change extremists anymore.
I think we're seeing
speak to that.
we're on the, I look at a lot of things as a bell curve.
Mhm.
We're on the backside of the climate change bell curve. As
Yep.
every day that goes by and every year that goes by, the predictions are not coming true.
Yep.
Right. So I think we can all see at this point, much of what climate change was a theft
Absolutely.
of the American taxpayer.
Mhm.
And a lot of it still is. And you can see the grinding of teeth as this thing starts to slip away. A lot because what the guy in the presidency of of the United States is. And I think, you know, as we look at this issue, social issue, was brought to my business.
Right.
I do not have a membership to have social issues brought to me by that membership.
Mm-hmm.
And any way we look at this was an agenda in order to fulfill what they, Bezos and the Methane Hub, believe to be true.
Mm-hmm.
And what they believe to be true is that cattle take away from the earth.
Mm-hmm.
That's their mantra. It's there for everybody to see.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to sign on with that gives that fuel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to give these people fuel. I go home and look at my grandkids. I go home and look at my hardworking sons. I don't want to be part of something that's going to take away from their future. And I'm going to fight this thing to the end on what that role is.
Well, the truth is the truth.
Yes.
And the truth is cattle were perfectly designed by God to convert grass into the most nutritious superfood on planet Earth, period.
No question.
And there's nobody better at it than the American cattle rancher.
Yes.
We do it the best of anyone in the world. So no, we're not going to apologize for the animals that we are caretakers of. We're not going to apologize for the price of the beef because it is the best in the world, period.
Right.
And you and I have discussed this, but you know, I'm in the political arena. I've had a carbon pipeline fight in my backyard, property rights deal.
I'm trying to keep you out of it.
Well, we've been winning, so I can focus on cows again.
Right.
But the reality is I bring it up is because at the end of the day, that was fueled by Green New Deal taxpayer scams.
Sure.
The same thing is if that money wasn't incentivized, the private sector wouldn't be playing these stupid games that they're playing. And so to me, the mission is twofold. We've got to cut the funding from the taxpayer rollout, a reallocation of wealth that benefits very few, while it actually chips away at our property rights, our ability to own and manage our land and our livestock as we see fit. So I think once that funding goes away, we won't see associations playing these silly games.
Oh, heck no.
I mean, but the reality is, just because there's money there, you know what I'd like to see? Good, strong American men and women stand up for the truth.
So that's ranching, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ranching is, you don't choose ranching for money.
Right.
You choose ranching for the challenge. You choose ranching for how you can be a great witness to your kids and your grandkids. Mm-hmm. The dedication of winning in the task, however that looks, is more than the money. And I'm not saying that I don't believe in absolutely running a profitable business.
Right.
But this is not where we wake up every day and think, how can we cut the margins in order to make more profit? That's not ranching.
Right.
That's not ranching. That ranching is a reward of life.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the difference. So the difference is the people that bring these things to us, you know, are Friday paycheck people. Mm-hmm. That's not ranching. And nothing against Friday paycheck people. There's a lot of fantastic people that have chosen this way of life. But the moment you speak up from a producer level, you can tell they don't like it. Mm-hmm. And because a lot of what is above in anyone's life is job preservation. Mm-hmm. Guess what? For Chris Earl, job preservation. And I ranch. And I'm going to fight for that. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. We have to be able to have open debates. We have to be able to have these things going forward and make the convictions of what you want to do public. Mm-hmm. And stand behind them, pay the cost, whatever the cost is. But I can guarantee you the reward on the other side is that you answered the Holy Spirit, you answered what you are, and you did it for the good of your family and the good of people that ranch like us. And I think that's where a lot of people need to get to.
And I'm glad you brought that piece up. I know your faith is important to you, Chris, as is mine. And you've made some statements that this is a faith issue for you. And I don't know if people can quite connect the dots. And the whole climate change thing is a anti-life, anti-God initiative. But can you speak to that? Just kind of in your own words, explain what you mean by that it is a test of your faith.
So I am a fairly simple person. So I break down things simply. And I try and get to the absolute premise of why this exists. Mm-hmm. And the absolute premise of why this exists is for the breathing. Mm-hmm. Is because people that are living now want to keep having this. And that is, so they want to preserve their own life. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not what the good Lord tells me. Mm-hmm. The good Lord tells me to preserve other people's life. And the way you do that is the creation of life.
That's right.
And that is the premise of the world. The premise of the world is we are not here to grow grass. We are not here to grow beef. We are here to grow souls. Mm-hmm. And last time I looked, God wants souls. Mm-hmm. We need life.
You mean we shouldn't be measuring the emissions of you and I? We might be worth more than an emission.
Trust me, if we put another 2 billion people on the earth, the good Lord would take care of it.
I would think so.
Because he loves us and he wants those souls. And I think it's our job to make sure that all that can happen. And this little blue planet in the middle of just an unbelievable thing that's even not fathomable, I'm going to trust the Lord, and I'm going to trust that life creates life, and we need more of it.
Absolutely. So, and as ranchers, we are God's stewards. He blessed us with this life to be good stewards of this land, to take care of the animals, to take care of people. And to me, the climate change agenda has nothing to do with saving the planet. It is a mechanism for control, and it's anti-human life.
It is, and it's activists. You know, a lot of it is activism built in animal welfare. I love animals, right? Got a dog, had dogs, got cows, love cows, all that stuff.
A lot of cows.
They don't have souls, Amanda.
Right.
People have souls.
People have souls.
And I think that is the preservation that I want to stay focused on in my life. We do that by the use of animals, no question. But the premise of the roots of climate change is anti-life. It's anti-souls. And it's godless. And I will do nothing in my life, because I'm going to answer to him. I'm going to do nothing in my life to cap God. And capping God by saying we've got too many people or people are taken away from the earth, that's putting yourself in God's shoes. Chris Earl won't do it.
Right. Right. Well, and that's the premise of this Heart of Rural America podcast, is really to highlight great people. And I truly believe if rural America, flyover country, if agricultural communities are prosperous and do well, they will go on to do good things in service to others. And that's what I'm counting on. And I pray people, you know, are filled with the Holy Spirit and go out and do good in this golden era of the beef cattle business.
And they will.
And so as we talk about this golden era of the beef cattle business, Chris, and as we kind of close out this recording, let's get back to today. I got so excited to talk about the politics of it all that we've rushed over what we're doing here today. So tell me a little bit about the Capital Angus offering today. Where can people watch online if they can't be in person? And what are some of the sire groups represented? So
we're CCI.live today. And I think, one, you're representing we're representing some of the finest people we work with, hard-working Texans. And they are type A personalities, and they will get after it. So I think we've got a big set of older bulls today that have selection pressure on calving ease, end product merit. And I think it's one of the big sets of bulls, you know, which I think really fits the country. So they've got a Pineview Premium sire group, leads off the book. Extremely balanced, high-end balanced is what I tell people. So, you know, if you're looking for traits in any areas, there's probably 20 traits that this sire group can perform in. The Poss Deadwoods, up front of the book again, just perfect for this part of the country.
The crowds love them here.
They love them. Everywhere we've sold them over the last three years, it's been exceptional. Added frame, end product merit, crazy end product merit, and bring muscle to the plate. You know, they've got some Poss ratifieds. If you're looking for a little deeper, more moderate set like me, with some belly and some muscle, I like the Poss ratifieds on their sire base. You know, so we've got a whopping set of bulls. I think it's one of the best sets of bulls they've done. This program is growing at an expansive level. Absolutely. And they are as competitive a people as I've ever met. And then of course we've got the meat sale tonight at 6 o'clock. You know, they're one of our founding members and partners, and it's because we sought them. We sought them because their product is ridiculously good.
It's so good. It's so good. So 2 years ago today, we were hosting our first Bid on Beef auction. This was your vision after, you know, 30 plus years in the Angus business and doing all these auction sales with CK6. And your vision was, if we can do that with high-end Angus cattle, why can't we do it with high-end premium beef? So you pitched it to all of us. I'll be honest, I don't think any of us thought it would work, Chris. But yet we were here in this barn, and the people in the room responded in such a big way. I mean, you had people paying $100 a pound for things, and they were just jumping out of their seats, just excited. How now 2 years later, we've done over $1 million in sales. We've sold to all 50 states. We've got just a heck of a set of producers that are selling on the platform. What's your thoughts 2 years later of how the market is responding to picking the ranch, picking the price, and being able to ship that beef straight to their door?
So after 2 years, you know, you try and visualize the concept. The concept is valid, or we'd be gone.
Right.
And we're growing. and
Mhm.
we gain new customers every week. The feedback on it is 98% positive.
Mhm.
And I think as we continue to do this, I don't think I have a cap for it. I mean, I have a cap on what we can physically do as a team,
Right.
but the marketing of it and what it can be, frankly, there's 250 million beef eaters in this
That's right.
country. They're not all top end meat eaters, and God bless them. I'm not telling anyone how to shop, but I really want to get to the people that want the experience.
Mhm.
I don't want to cap people.
Mhm.
Whatever you want to pay, it's your call that day.
That's
I
right.
just want to control the quality and control the process by wherever you are in the country, you can access the best people and the best product in the world.
Mhm.
I've ate beef in every part of the world.
Mhm.
There is frankly nothing like the
Nothing
American
like it.
product. There's
Mhm.
nothing like it. And from this ranch, we're standing here in little Whitehouse, Texas. I put this product up against any I've ever ate. I
Absolutely.
don't even raise my own beef anymore. I buy it on our platform. I can go in. I was never a strip eater. I buy the strips here
Yeah.
because the F1 product and the strips, man, it's perfectly textured and marbled for what I
Mhm.
for what I like, and it's just what I want,
Mhm.
and in my life at this point, as I look at the health benefits of beef and everything that's going on in the country, look, I need to allocate more to what I eat,
That's
and I
right.
need to allocate to what better I can eat, and
Right.
beef is the best. I mean, it's just the
Absolutely.
best for you. So,
It's an investment in your health, and it's
yep,
delicious, and it's not comparable to anything else.
yep,
And in fact, studying here the recent media headlines that beef is priced too high and all
yep.
those things, relative to all the other things we're buying at the grocery store or at your Starbucks coffee, grocery prices overall are up 3%.
Sure.
And yet we've seen that rising beef demand. We're not losing market share to pork and chicken.
Yep.
People want beef.
Yep.
And last weekend at that Angus meeting, we heard a cattle facts report, and it said the demand for select beef was going way down, and choice and prime was skyrocketing.
Right.
So there is an opportunity here if you're a beef cattle producer and you have spent years selecting for that carcass merit, you have leverage.
No
People
question.
want it.
There's no question. I mean, I think as you look at our business, our business is still the only protein model that hasn't made its primary focus the margin.
Hmm.
We're in a protein market where still most of the market is the quality.
That's right.
And the difference between hamburger right now, I've said this for years. I don't believe beef is a commodity. We all get grouped together.
Right.
That's not the case.
It's not all the same.
No, it's not all the same. There is fabulous things getting done with the quality of product anywhere in the country. And through this platform, I wanted to be able to let people know in urban America or wherever that they can have access to a great experience. And you and I talked, we want to bring families back to the kitchen table. We want to have those conversations. We want to add to this way of life, add to America. And look, beef is America. It's historical. Read the history books. Read now. It's funny. It's oil and beef are the lifebloods of this
That's right.
life because they are in need.
Built communities,
They
built
are in need.
towns, built
No
this
question.
country,
No
and keep
question.
this country fueled and fed
Yeah.
in the best way possible. So today, if you want to participate in the Bid on Beef auction, you've got to go at 6 p.m. to bidonbeef.com. I want to plug in your information, get registered to bid, because that's your opportunity to actually get in on the
Be
action.
fun.
Now, so Wes Tiemann, world-class auctioneer,
The
he's
best.
going to be calling your bids, so you actually can buy steaks the cowboy way. So he'll slow his.
And you'll be talking them because I'm not
Am
talking
I?
beef
Well,
today.
this is
Yeah.
news to me. Well, I'll just say I really
Good.
like that, and I like
Good.
that, and just buy it, or I will.
Right.
But it's an exciting day. You can
Yeah.
feel the excitement. Looking ahead, Chris, that CK6 is very busy. People can get pessimistic sometimes in this way of life. It's labor intensive, it's hard work, it's risky, and you could have something happen halfway around the world that impacts you.
Yeah.
But yet you're wildly optimistic right now. Speak to that. What does the future for the American cattle rancher actually look like in the next 12 months?
Well, it's twofold. One, I travel 120,000 miles a year, so I think I see more Angus cattle than probably anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so I see the fundamentals firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
Not reading them in a book, not reading them in an article. I actually, as I travel in every region of the country, I see the fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm making a judgment on how many cows are here.
Yeah.
There's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you make a judgment on mankind, human nature. Human nature over the next year is not to wake up and say, you know what, I want to work 7 days a week and keep sweating. That's not going to happen.
Right.
So, my hope is it does eventually over a decade as we, hopefully make this way of life attractive for young people, but that's probably not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly is my guide comes from the only place I can draw it from. And the only place I can draw it from is, why do people do this way of life? Is because there was a guy that climbed a hill
Mm-hmm.
knowing he was going to die.
That's right.
He knew the challenge in front of him. That ranching is as close as I can get to that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is because there's plenty of times I want to quit.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of times that I'm going to say, I can go live in a cul-de-sac somewhere and have a nice life with my wife. But that's not why I'm here. Why I'm here is to accept the challenges, be a witness to my kids, be a witness to people, be a witness to my grandkids, and know that life is bigger than me being comfortable.
That's right.
And that's ranching.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one way to approach ranching: 99% full, 110% full. Because if you don't, you'll talk your way out of this way of life.
Doubts creep in.
Doubts creep in, and there's only one way, and that's to go full metal forward. The good Lord's given us the market to do it, and there's no better time than to add cattle to your grass.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to tell you, Chris Earl put his name on it. The fundamentals will be there for you.
Absolutely.
They will be there for you. So if you're thinking about taking the shot, take it.
Absolutely.
So,
and today's the day to do it. Head to CCI.live, Capital Angus. At 1 p.m. You can get some breed leading genetics for your operation.
Be a great day
to get yourself positioned in the marketplace. So thanks so much, Chris.
Thanks,
we'll
Amanda.
see you on the next one.